There is a right weight for every individual. Only you can decide what that weight should be for your body. Likewise, how to reach and maintain your correct weight is up to you. One way is to add calories to your exercise and diet regimen. Why? Because Calories is a clinically tested, naturally sourced, stimulant-free dietary supplement that can give you the edge in managing your weight. 10 years of research has shown Calories' superior fat-binding properties can reduce up to 500 calories a day from the fat in foods you eat. 2 Calories tablets taken with any meal containing fats will absorb and eliminate up to 9 times their weight in fat without side effects. Calories needs no prescription and is available at your local GNC, Walgreens, and soon CVS store or online at calories.com. That's CALOREASE.com. This statement has not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Blog Talk Radio.
We are the UR Tennis Network. Our mission is to be the voice of tennis. We enlist a team of passionate enthusiasts to promote our sport. We strive to bring interesting perspectives on the many spins of tennis. Our goal is to provide the learners of our sport with current news and information from many angles. We seek active participation from communities interested in tennis, but tennis is not interested in them. We are expanding our outreach. Tennis is a true lifetime sport that needs to be talked about, and the UR Tennis Network pledges to pursue this idea relentlessly.
Good morning and welcome to the Parenting Aces radio show on Blog Talk Radio's UR Tennis Network. I'm your host, Lisa Stone, and I am recovering from a very long, late flight yesterday back from California, back from the BNP Paribas Open in Indian Wells, where I had an absolutely amazing week. Just absolutely incredible. Those of you who follow me on Facebook and Twitter, I'm sure you have been seeing my pictures and on Instagram as well. And I hope you enjoyed them. I have a lot more that I didn't post yet, but I'm working on putting a whole album together that hopefully will be up on parentingaces.com at some point in the next day or two. So check back and you can see the rest of my pics. But what an incredible experience to be there, to be credentialed and have access behind the scenes. And it's just eye-opening to have the opportunity to watch the players as they prepare for their matches, as they recover after their matches, to see what their coaches are up to see all the hubbub with the agents and the managers. And for those who are married, they've got their spouses and maybe their kids there. Lauren Davis is there with her grandma, which was just so cute to see. And I loved kind of seeing and spying a little bit on the players, noticing what kinds of foods they're eating. Everybody has their special table they like to sit at, and so it's a very cool deal to get to see that. So today I don't have a guest lined up for us, but what I figured I'd do is open up the mic to whoever wants to call in. Y'all know the call-in number. It's 714-583-6853. So unless you want to hear me yammer on for the next 60 minutes, you should pick up the phone and call in, and we can chat about whatever is on your mind today, whether it's junior tennis related, college tennis related, something having to do with off-court training, or whatever you want to chat about. I am all ears. Before I start taking calls, though, I want to play a quick public service announcement, and when we come back, the mic is open.
Orthopedic surgeons are seeing an increase in overuse injuries when young athletes perform the same repetitive stressful motions over and over. Pitching, tennis, weight training, even long swimming workouts can cause overuse trauma that may require surgery. If your kids play and train hard, visit orthoinfo.org or stopsportsinjuries.org. A message from the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons and the American Orthopedic Society for Sports Medicine.
Welcome back to the Parenting Aces radio show on Blog Talk Radio's UR Tennis Network. I'm your host, Lisa Stone, and as I mentioned before the break, we're going to have an open mic today. I don't have a guest lined up for today's show, and figured I would just hear from you guys about what you would like to chat about today. So I'm hoping you'll call in, 714-583-6853. Again, 714-583-6853. We'll be on air for the next 55 minutes or so, and unless you want to hear me go on and on and on about my week at Indian Wells, call in and let's chat. I do want to mention, in case you missed it, that one of my pieces was published on Huffington Post this past week, and I'm really excited about that. It's actually a rewrite of an article that I had posted on parentingaces.com a few weeks back, and I hope you'll take a look at it. Huffington Post approached me, 2 or 3 weeks ago, letting me know that they were planning a series on the benefits of youth sports and asked me to contribute to that. So I was extraordinarily honored to be included in their series. The article is now live, and I'll be posting a link on parentingaces.com, but you can find it on our Facebook and Twitter feeds right now. It's up there. And if you do read it and have thoughts about the article, please put them in the comments on Huffington Post. It's good exposure for us, and the more readers Parenting Aces gets, the better this junior tennis world becomes, in my opinion. I think educated parents are a positive influence. Uneducated parents aren't necessarily, but certainly can be a negative influence in our sport. And I think it's key that we all do our part to stay up to date on what's going on in junior tennis. And as, kind of a follow-up, what's going on in college tennis, because certainly for most of our junior players, college tennis is something that they're looking forward to, and I think it's crucial that we as parents are aware of changes that are happening in our sport, opportunities and things like that are being taken away. And, every couple of weeks I get an email from the ITA letting me know of another college tennis program that's on the chopping block. And it's just heartbreaking. And so that's why I continue to encourage all of you to take your kids, go out and support your local college teams. They need us. They need our heinies in the seats at their matches so that they can show their athletic directors and the higher-ups at the university or at the college that tennis is important to the community. And, hopefully we'll keep the tennis programs off the chopping block. It's so disheartening. Can you imagine if your child had worked for, 10 plus years to earn the opportunity to play tennis in college at whatever level, and got there, and then after a year or two finds out that the program's being cut? I mean, that would just be awful. And I know people personally who this has happened to, and I don't want to see it happen to any kid. I just think it's just heartbreaking. And I think if we do our part as parents and as lovers of the game and supporters of the game, we can help ensure that these teams stay put and that these opportunities are there for our kids as they get to the age that they're ready to play at the college level. I want to mention something that was pretty cool about being at Indian Wells. I got the opportunity to talk to the parents of several of the pros playing at the event. Well, and one of them was a college player that was playing in the qualies at the event. And, it's interesting. The parents of the professional players, and I know I've mentioned this before, but they suffer the same stresses, the same anxiety, and yes, the same pride and excitement that we parents of junior players experience. It just never ceases to amaze me, because I think, gosh, by the time your child has become a professional player or, a highly ranked collegiate player, that as a parent you learn to deal with all the ups and downs of being the parent of a player. But honestly, I just don't see that it gets a whole lot easier, and maybe in fact even gets tougher, especially as the player is depending on their tennis to pay their bills. And there's a lot of stress around that. Don't kid yourself that it gets easier for the pros. It's certainly easier at the top of the game, but still, those of you who have been following me for a while may remember I interviewed Karen Isner, John Isner's mom, and I also interviewed Judy Murray, Andy Murray's mom, at the U.S. Open a couple years ago. And honestly, I could have been talking to any one of you, junior tennis parents. Their issues and their concerns, even though their sons are at the very top of the pro game, are very similar to what we junior tennis parents are going through. And on the one hand, that's a little disheartening, but on the other hand, I think it adds a human element to the professional game that we may not all be aware of. And I think it's important that when we're watching these professional matches and, commenting in various social media outlets about the players or about the effort they put in or the outcome of a match, that we keep in mind that those players, each one of them, has a mom and or a dad out there who cares about them and is concerned for them the same way we are about our junior players. So I think it's really important that we keep that in mind. Some of the parents that I had the opportunity to chat with at Indian Wells were Ilona Young, Donald Young's mom, who I also interviewed this past year at the U.S. Open, and man, oh man, is she an insightful woman. Oh my gosh. She has so much compassion for these players and such a depth of knowledge of the way the game works, not just from a strategic standpoint, but I'm talking more from a political standpoint. And it's just so impressive to talk with her and hear her point of view. She is just unbelievably supportive of her son, and has been traveling with Donald since he was the number one ranked junior in the world. I mean, she's been around the game with him for such a long time and has learned the ins and outs of how things work. And I just, every time I get the opportunity to hear her speak, I just kind of get goosebumps because her wisdom is absolutely incredible. So Ilona, if you're listening, thank you for taking time to chat with me again, and good luck to Donald today. He's got a tough match today. Who else I got to talk to quite a bit was Steve Johnson, and I didn't get to chat with his wife Michelle quite as much, but they are the parents of Stevie Johnson, a former number one collegiate player, four-time NCAA team champion, three-time individual champion from USC, and Stevie is playing in Indian Wells. He also has another tough round today, but I ran into Steve Sr. Waiting for Stevie to go on for his match on Sunday, and that feeling before your child's getting ready to walk on the court and you're a little bit nervous for them and a little bit on edge, and you're just hoping that they can do all the things that they're capable of once they step foot on the court. Well, again, that doesn't change at the professional level. And, while on the surface, Steve and Michelle always look completely relaxed and at ease, it's interesting to note that they definitely are just like the rest of us. They want the best for their child. They want their child to work hard and compete at his highest level once he steps foot out there. And, I mean, these guys are amazing. I actually had the privilege of sitting directly across the baseline from Stephen and Michelle during Stevie's last match, and I kept a pretty close eye. And, when there was a phenomenal point, of course, they got excited and clapped and cheered, but point by point, typically they were very reserved. They kept a very neutral facial expression, very neutral body language, nothing threatening, nothing overly excited, nothing certainly angry or frustrated. It was all very calm, cool, and collected as an outsider looking in at them, and I was really impressed by that. And it was fun to get to watch them during Stevie's match. He had a tough one, and he pulled through, and it was just so exciting. And what was really cool is Peter Smith, the USC head tennis coach, was sitting courtside as well, and several of the USC men's players were there cheering Stevie on too. And so that was a really neat scene to kind of see college tennis evolve into the professional ranks and see this player who's meant so much to Southern California as a college player shining on the professional scene. And so I wish him the best of luck today. He's got another tough match, and I know he's going to give it his best and make us all proud. So Stevie, if you're listening, good luck, and we're cheering for you. So I also had a chance to chat a little bit with UCLA player Mackie McDonald's dad, and that was pretty cool. Mackie was there. He had gotten a wild card into the qualifying event for Indian Wells and pulled out a first-round quali win. It was an amazing win. It went 3 sets, and I was hoping against hope that he would win because I wasn't out there for that first round match, but I knew I would be there for the second one if he pulled it out, and he did. So I got to see him play his second round qualifying match against an unbelievably tough opponent. I can't for the life of me figure out why Michael Barrere was in the qualies. It's still in the main draw now, so obviously he beat Mackie in that second match to get through and into the main draw, but Mackie put up just an incredible fight, so much so that at the end of the match, Barrere, as they shook hands, was, I think, saying to him, "Man, you gave me way more than I expected out here, and, well done, and you're off to a great, great start on this pro tour deal." But Mackie's dad was sitting there, and I introduced myself. I hadn't met him before. I'm definitely friends with his mom and have spent quite a lot of time with her, but it was really fun to meet his dad too. And, just great fun to watch him. He is, more similar to me in the way that he watches his son compete. He's very animated through the match, and only in a positive way, though, and was just so excited to see Mackie doing so well out there. And when Mackie would win a particularly challenging point, his dad would just go nuts, cheering and clapping, and just say, "That's my kid, he's amazing out there." And I just loved seeing that. You could just feel the pride that he was feeling. And I did get a chance to speak to him for a minute after the match, too. And, of course he was disappointed for Mackie that he didn't make it through, but holy cow, was he proud of his son and all that he's accomplished. I mean, Mackie's just a sophomore in college this year. He's very young. He's still got lots of time to develop before he tries his hand full-time on the Pro Tour. And certainly there's a lot to look forward to with him. So that was really fun. And as an added perk at that match, I got to sit next to Grant Chen, the UCLA assistant coach, who those of you who have been around a while know that he's just one of my favorite people on the planet. He's just an unbelievable guy, so positive, and just loves the game like no other. And so it was really fun to sit next to him as he watched Mackie compete out there. And I know it was exciting for him. He had to get back to LA after the match because the UCLA team was taking on USC a couple days later, so he had to go help them get prepped. And so he didn't get to hang around too much, but lucky for me, he came back on Sunday, and so I got to catch up with him a little bit more on Sunday, and that was really fun. Let me think. Who else did I run into parents-wise? I hate to leave anybody out, but I think that's it. I did meet some coaches while I was out there. I actually got to chat with a couple of them. And if you've seen my pictures, I got to meet a couple of my favorite chair umpires, and so that was really fun. These guys and the women too are so incredibly nice. And so if you go to an event and you see one of these people that you watch on TV and you love, don't hesitate to ask them for an autograph or to take a picture. They really are so gracious, and I've never been turned down yet. So I encourage you to be proactive with that. I want to just give the call-in number again. It's 714-583-6853. For those of you listening, I hope you'll call in. Otherwise, you're going to just continue to hear me on the air, and I can keep talking for the rest of our hour, but I think it would be a lot more interesting to hear from you guys and hear what's going on in your world. So I do want to shift gears a little bit and talk about high school tennis, because my son is in the midst of his season right now. It's his senior year of high school, and I'm really happy that he decided to play for his school this last year. I think it's an important thing for him to do, an important way for him to close out high school and also his junior tennis, quote, career, and to give back to his school like that. I really felt like it was a big move for him to make, and a really positive one. He is playing line one singles for his team, which is amazing, and getting some good matches in, and the team is undefeated so far. Go Raiders. So we're excited about that, and should be on track to get through playoffs and get to the state championships. And so wouldn't that be amazing to get to graduate and win the state tennis championships too? I would love to see that happen for my kid and for the whole team. There are 4 seniors on the team this year, and actually we're having senior recognition day at today's match. It's a home match this afternoon, and so the senior boys will be recognized at the match, and that'll be cool for them and cool for us as parents too, to get to see our sons honored. I do want to say it has been very interesting to go to these high school matches, and it's a very different atmosphere, obviously, than a USTA tournament or an ITF or a Futures or any other type of event that our kids are playing, in that, they have that whole team aspect. And I think it's very, very good preparation for college tennis, even if the competition level may not be as high as what kids see at, out on the USTA tournament circuit. I think playing on a team and having that experience of being responsible for not just yourself, but for your teammates, is really a great learning experience for our kids. And like I said, I'm so glad that my son decided to play again this year. He had taken a couple years away from his high school tennis to focus on his ranking and his development and those things. But I am very relieved that he decided to play this year. And so far, overall, it's been a very positive experience. There have been a couple glitches here and there, but that's to be expected. And I think that he's learning a lot this season. He's realizing a lot about himself, and I think there's a very different feeling and responsibility when you're playing the top line in the lineup. And, I feel like so far at least that he is serving as a role model for the younger guys on the team, and seems to be doing a good job with that. And so I'm happy about that. He's very into promoting the matches at the school to make sure that they get lots of kids coming out to cheer them on. And so I like seeing that too. I like him taking responsibility for that, for generating interest in the team and getting his schoolmates pumped up about coming out to cheer them on. It's a really big public school, and football is huge, basketball is huge, soccer is huge, hockey is huge. I mean, it's crazy how many sports the high school has and how many sports that our students excel in at the state level. So for tennis to kind of get on the radar of the student body is a little bit tough. And so it's cool to see my son kind of encouraging his classmates and encouraging his fellow teammates to do the same, to get people out there cheering for them, because let's face it, it's a lot more fun to play when you've got a big cheering section, especially when it's a school-to-school rivalry and, you've kind of got a little trash talking going on, not anything unhealthy or out of control, but just fun stuff. And so it's so far been very cool. Because of all the nasty weather we've had in Atlanta this winter, our season was scheduled to start the beginning of February, and a month in, we had only played one match because of rain, snow, ice. I mean, it's just been crazy. But, of course, the week that I was at Indian Wells, they played 3 makeup matches. So I've missed 3 matches, which I'm kind of bummed about. But like I said, Senior Recognition Day is today, and I'm back, and I'll be there, and can't wait to see my son on the court. I hope he gets to play today. They're playing another school in our district, and I hope the coach lets the seniors play today since it is their day to be recognized. We'll see. We'll see what happens. And let's see, what else did I want to talk to you guys about? Oh, I posted a great article on our Facebook page today that's on tennisnow.com. It's called Is Cheating Ruining the Game of Tennis? And it's written by a former junior tennis player who is now a tennis journalist, Blair Henley, and it's a really good look at what's going on in the junior game in terms of cheating and gamesmanship. And honestly, the timing couldn't be better. We just did the podcast 2 weeks ago on cheating and gamesmanship, and really it was nice to read Blair's article and see some of the same issues come up. I definitely think this is a topic that we need to keep discussing. I'm hopeful that at some point USTA will take firmer action against the gamesmanship and the cheating that's going on, and will develop a clear set of guidelines and punishments for breaching those guidelines that will be implemented across the board in junior tennis. Right now, too much of it's left up in the air, and I think that's part of the problem, frankly. I think there are certain players that have learned, which line judges let them get away with stuff, which tournaments let them get away with stuff, and so the bad behavior continues, and it's a real shame. And ultimately, the responsibility falls on us, the parents of these players, to insist that our children behave in an honorable way when they step foot on the tennis court. They need to be held accountable for their behavior by us, their parents. They also need to be held accountable by their coaches. And if there are any junior coaches out there listening, I hope that you take the opportunity during training to talk about gamesmanship with your players, to talk about line calls with your players, and to discuss what's acceptable and what's not. And there are some gray areas. I mean, I get that. It's not all cut and dried, but either the ball's in or it's out, period, the end. There's no gray area there. And yes, you can make a mistake, and mistakes are made all the time. I mean, I make mistakes, and, am the first one to tell an opponent, look, if you disagree with me on a call, please tell me. I don't trust my eyesight. I am more than happy to give you the call or, replay the point or however you want to work it. But, so mistakes do happen, but there is a lot going on out there. And I'm sorry, I don't feel like it's a life lesson that our youngest players need to learn how to deal with cheating. I just don't think that's something they should be faced with. There's too much else going on the tennis court, especially during tournament play, for a young player to have to worry whether they're going to get hooked by their opponent. And I think our governing body can do a better job with this. And as Blair says in her article, there's $200 million that is being made at the U.S. Open every year that basically funds the operating budget of USTA, but certainly a bigger percentage of that could be put toward hiring an ample number of officials and training them properly so that when they are out there at our kids' events that they're doing a great job instead of, getting kind of sometimes you get a good one, sometimes you get a terrible one, you never really know, and there aren't enough officials being trained, and I get it. It's a rough job. I mean, it's a long day out there. They're making little money. I've heard like $100 for the day, and they're out in the elements all day long, sometimes from 7 in the morning till as late as midnight. I mean, that's brutal, but I still feel like it's not right to put our kids in a situation where there's no adult around to oversee what's happening on the court. And every other youth sport has officiating. And I feel like it's time for USTA to step up there and take some action to help our kids out. So, once your kid is done with junior tennis, or maybe while they're still competing in junior tennis, if you're so inclined, think about maybe going through the course to get trained and becoming an official. I know several parents who have done that throughout their kids' junior careers. It's been a great way for them to stay involved in the game and, to get to the tournaments and, kind of offsets the cost of the tournaments for them. And, they get to know all the kids out there, which is very nice. They get to know the parents, which is also very nice. So just putting that bug in your ear if you're looking for something to do on your weekends, that maybe becoming a junior tennis official is in your future. So take a look. I think if you go on USTA's website and you type in the search box at the top right of the page, tennis officiating or becoming a tennis official, that you'll get to the information you need. If you have trouble finding that information, shoot me an email and I will get it to you directly, and you can pursue that and let me know what you think. Our number today is 714-583-6853. We are doing an open mic. So far it's just me, but I sure would love to hear from y'all and hear what's going on in your world, whether it's junior tennis, college tennis, coaching, fitness, nutrition, whatever you've got going on. I would love to hear about it. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep chatting away, and believe me, I've got plenty to talk about as we continue on into the second half of our show today. Let's see, where should we go next? I would love to touch base on the upcoming Easter Bowl. It is going to be held again at the Indian Wells Tennis Garden this year. Last year they did the tournament there, and this year they're doing it again. What a cool opportunity for our kids to have, to get to play on the same courts as their favorite pros. The facility, I got to tell you, is breathtaking. I mean, it is just exquisite. And I know the tournament this year is going to be just fantastic. I think USTA listened to all of you who went last year and who complained about the timing of the event, that it overlapped with the Coachella Music Festival. So this year, you don't have that issue. The tournament has been moved. I think it's the week before the music festival, if I'm not mistaken. So if you haven't booked hotels yet, you probably should get on that, because the tournament is only, 3 weeks away now. Entries are open, and for the 18 and unders, it is an ITF event, so you do have to have an IPIN and enter through the IPIN website. but for the 12s, 14s, and 16s, you can go to the Tennis League page for the Easter Bowl and enter that way. And I think it's going to be another great event. I am planning to be out there for at least a couple of days this year. My son has aged out of ITF. He's 96, so he's no longer eligible to play ITF juniors. But I am very interested to see how the tournament is going this year, and so I'm going to be out there for a couple days. If you're going to be out there, I hope you'll let me know, and if we overlap, I definitely would love to connect and say hello and maybe come watch your child play, or if you're a coach, maybe come watch you in action as a coach. That would be really fun, and I always love meeting up with Parenting Aces readers and listeners out there. It's a real treat for me. So, please do let me know if you're going to be out there. In terms of, what's coming up for the summer, this is prime time to get your child signed up for tennis camp if you haven't done that already. Most college campuses around the country offer tennis camps in the summer. They offer them on spring break too, so if you're looking for something for your child to do over spring break, tennis camp is always a great option. Nike sponsors tennis camps at many universities, but there are other tennis camps too. I know Wilson Tennis sponsors some camps, and then there are independent camps that are run by coaches at various facilities around the country. And I understand, the costs do vary. Some of them are pretty pricey, some of them are a little bit more reasonable, but especially for those kids who are looking to play college tennis, I would recommend one of the camps situated on a college campus, because it's a great way for your player to get to know the coach at that school. Oftentimes, some of the players on the team help out the coach at the camps, and so, it's a good way for your child to get a feel for the kind of the culture of the team by getting to know some of the players and seeing them interact. And as I've mentioned a million times, going to camp at University of Georgia was what turned my son onto tennis big time back when he was 9 years old. And, ever since that first camp experience, all he's wanted to do is play college tennis. And I credit that 1,000% to Coach Manny Diaz and to Coach Will Glenn, his assistant, and to all the guys on the team that were there working with the kids, and especially the last day of that first camp experience. John Isner was still on the team at University of Georgia, and the boys got to stand on the court and try to return John's serve, and that was the highlight of the week. My son still talks about that. So I would just encourage you, I can't say it enough, to get your kids to at least one camp this summer on a college campus, if that's an option for you, and let them get a little bit of a taste for what college tennis looks and feels like. A lot of the times the college camps house the kids in the college dorms. The kids eat in the college dining hall. So, it truly is a little taste of what's to come in future years. And it's just a great experience. So take a look online and look at the schools in your area, or maybe you want to travel a little bit. It's, if mom and dad want to take a vacation, maybe Junior can go to tennis camp and mom and dad can take in the local sites, and it's a nice way to see the country for sure. Also, I want to remind you guys about the ITA Summer Circuit, which is an open circuit of tournaments that's held during the month of July, and typically there's a different tournament each week throughout the month, and they're held in various locations around the country on college campuses. And typically you get college players as well as high school players, and even some junior high, pre-high school players signing up for these events. And we have not been disappointed yet at the level of competition that my son has gotten when he's attended these events. He's planning to head out to California, I think, this summer to play in the events out there and get himself ready to to play at Santa Clara next year. But like I said, the events are held all over the country. They're really inexpensive. They have singles and doubles. I want to say it's like $25 to enter, and pretty much everybody gets in. So the draws are relatively small. The level, as I said, is incredibly competitive, and it's a great way for your junior player especially to see where their game is and where it needs to be if college tennis is the goal. And I know for my son, he played his first one of these events the summer after ninth grade, I believe, if I'm not remembering incorrectly. And he actually got to play at the University of Georgia. And, I mean, how cool was that to get to play a tournament on the UGA court? But, he signed up for the event thinking, I'll go, I'll play, I'll probably not win any matches, but it'll be a good measuring stick for me. So, let's go do this. It's only an hour and 15 minutes from home. An easy thing to do. We drove over thinking we were just going to go for the day. We didn't pack a suitcase. We didn't pack, multiple changes of clothes. And my son wound up winning his first match. And so we ended up having to spend the night and do some laundry and show up the next day, and he played again. So you never know. You never know at these events. So I would encourage you to take a look. If you Google ITA Summer Circuit, you'll get the link to the website, and you enter individually at each tournament link. And typically the entries don't open till middle of May, maybe late May. But the schedule should be online. I haven't checked to see if they're up yet, but if they're not up yet, they should be up in the next couple weeks. And, plan to attend at least one of those and participate. I mean, it's just an awesome experience for these kids. Let's see, what else should we chat about today? I don't know. I can't think of what else to talk about. I'm so jet lagged from flying in. I didn't get home till after midnight, as I mentioned, and had to get up bright and early to see my kids off this morning. So if I'm rambling, I apologize, but I do thank you guys for sticking with me today. If there's nothing else to discuss, I'm a little disappointed you guys didn't want to call in today, but I get it. Everybody's probably at work or out partying for St. Patrick's Day, one or the other. In Atlanta today, the sun is out. Finally, it's warm here. We're having some nice, actually unseasonably warm temperatures, which was nice to come home to from the desert. And so I'm looking forward to getting out to my son's match in a few hours. But for those of you who are on the courts now, enjoy your day. And for those of you listening to the podcast, I hope you found it somewhat informative. And I hope you'll tune in again next week and in future weeks for the Parenting Aces radio show. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great week, everybody, and be sure to check out our Huffington Post article. Thank you. Have a great week.